Farquaad, my child, I see you've been busy, ruling over Duloc with an iron fist, huh? Now look, I understand the desire for power. Even my disciples had their moments of wondering who would sit at my right hand. But seeking power at the expense of others, well, that's where things go off the rails. Remember when you banished all those fairy tale creatures from Duloc? Now tell me, where in your heart did it seem just to throw Pinocchio and the gingerbread man into exile just because they didn't fit your image of a perfect kingdom? You were aiming for perfection, I get that. But perfection, as you might have learned by now, doesn't come from controlling or dominating others. Remember the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. When was the last time you thought about how you'd like to be banished? Doesn't sound great, does it? Let's be real. Building an empire on the misery of others isn't exactly a recipe for long-term success. Just look at your wedding. You had this grand idea to marry Fiona, thinking that a queen would complete your kingdom. But here's a lesson for you. A crown doesn't make a king, and a queen doesn't make you whole. Your actions, your heart, that's where true royalty lies. You see, I was born in a manger, not a castle, but my kingdom endures because it's built on love, compassion, and a little thing called humility. Ah, humility. That's a tough one for you, isn't it? Let's talk about that for a moment. You wanted to be seen as the greatest ruler in all the land, but what did that get you? A lonely tower, an unhappy bride, and a mirror that probably had more self-awareness than you did at the time. What if, instead of demanding people bow down to you, you tried lifting them up? It's in lifting others that we truly find our strength. Let me remind you of a story. When I washed my disciples' feet, it wasn't to show weakness, it was to show strength through service. You might think, Jesus Farquaad is not about to wash anyone's feet. And hey, maybe foot washing isn't your thing, but that's not the point. The point is, the greatest leaders are the ones who serve, not the ones who crush others beneath their boots. If you want to lead Farquaad, try showing people the path to good, rather than forcing them to walk it. Now Farquaad, I know you've got a bit of a control issue. You built Duloc into your version of paradise. Everything spotless, perfectly ordered, not a blade of grass out of place. But perfection, my friend, isn't about control. It's about love, and love is messy. Trust me, I've seen it all. Healing lepers, turning over tables in the temple, calming storms. It wasn't neat, but it was right. Your desire for control has caused you to do some, shall we say, questionable things. Forcing a princess into marriage for the sake of your crown, that's not love, that's possession. And, newsflash, you're not going to win any hearts or brownie points by locking someone away in a tower. If you want love, real, lasting love, it comes through freedom, not force. You can't just drag people into your kingdom or into your heart, kicking and screaming, Farquaad. You have to let them come willingly. Do you remember the story of the prodigal son? The father didn't lock the doors and throw away the key when his son ran off to live recklessly. No, he let him go. And when the son came back, broke and humbled, the father ran out to meet him. He didn't stand on his porch, arms crossed, with a checklist of rules and demands. He opened his arms. That's love, Farquaad. It's not about setting boundaries so high that no one can ever climb them. It's about opening your heart wide enough that even the messiest, most imperfect people feel welcomed. Let's talk about that wedding again. You sent knights to fetch Fiona like she was some prize to be won. Spoiler alert, women aren't trophies, they're partners. Trust me, Mary Magdalene wasn't following me around because I was some sort of royal prize. It was because I saw her for who she was, a person with value beyond societal expectations. If you ever want real connection in your life, Farquaad, you need to stop treating people like chess pieces in your grand game. Start seeing them as souls, with hopes and dreams just like you. And about that mirror you keep consulting, do you really want to spend your days asking a talking piece of glass whether you're the best? That's insecurity in disguise, Farquaad. No need to get validation from a mirror when you could get it from within. If you start doing good, if you lead with love and kindness, people will see your worth without you having to demand it. Remember, the meek shall inherit the earth, not the tyrannical or the egotistical. You're probably thinking, Jesus, what's wrong with a little ambition? Nothing, Farquaad. Ambition is great. But ambition that tramples on others isn't the path you want. Your ambition should be to serve, not to rule. The greatest among you is the one who serves others, not the one who builds the tallest tower. Remember when I said, "For whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted"? Well, if I could give you any advice, Farquaad, it would be to start practicing a little humility. Trust me, it looks good on everyone. Farquaad, let's talk about something you might not enjoy: consequences. Yes, I know you're not a fan of those. You've probably noticed by now that your actions, no matter how grand your intentions, always come back around. It's like sowing seeds, my child. Whatever you plant is what you'll harvest. And you, well, you've been planting a whole lot of selfishness, greed, and cruelty. What did you think was going to grow from that? Rainbows and butterflies? Sorry, that's not how it works. Look at the swamp you created around you. You drove everyone away. Fairy tale creatures, common folk, even your own knights probably fear you more than they respect you. Isolation, Farquaad, is a cold bedfellow. You've built walls, not just around Duloc, but around your own heart. You might think they protect you, but they're really prisons of your own making. You might not know this, but even I faced consequences. When I flipped tables in the temple, people weren't exactly thrilled with me. They plotted to take me down, and it wasn't pretty. But I stood by my actions because they were driven by love, not self-interest. I wasn't trying to build a kingdom for myself. I was trying to free people from the chains of oppression. You? Well, you've been tying those chains a little tighter, haven't you? Let's take a quick look at what your actions have cost you. You lost Fiona, well, to an ogre, no less. And why? Because you couldn't see her as a person. You saw her as a means to an end, a trophy. You wanted the perfect kingdom and the perfect queen, but love doesn't work that way. Fiona chose Shrek because, despite his rough exterior, he cared for her. He loved her for who she was, not what she could bring to him. Can you imagine the difference if you had done the same? And here's the kicker. You could still have that love, that fulfillment, but you've got to change. You've got to stop seeing people as tools in your quest for power and start seeing them as your equals, as fellow souls on this journey. If you want your story to have a happy ending, Farquaad, you've got to change the plot. It's not too late, my child. I forgave a thief on the cross next to me in my final moments. Surely you've got time to turn things around. You see, redemption doesn't come by ignoring your past or pretending your mistakes didn't happen. No, it comes by acknowledging them, owning up to them, and then choosing to walk a different path. Imagine what Duloc could look like if you ruled with kindness instead of cruelty. Instead of knights patrolling the streets with fear, you could have people working together in harmony. It sounds pretty nice, doesn't it? The beauty of redemption, Farquaad, is that it's always within reach. All you have to do is choose it. And trust me, The view from the high road is a lot better than the one from that lonely tower of yours. Now let's get into the real heart of the matter. Service. I know it doesn't sound glamorous, but bear with me. You've spent your life having people serve you, bowing at your feet, trembling at your commands. You've built Duloc in your image, expecting everyone to fall in line. But let me ask you this, how does that make you feel? Fulfilled? I'm guessing not. Here's why. Power without purpose is empty. You see, I didn't come to be served. I came to serve. And here's a secret. There's more joy in helping others than in ruling over them. Imagine the kind of leader you could be if instead of demanding, you started giving. What if, instead of insisting everyone bend to your will, you found out how to bend a little yourself? You know, just a little flexibility can go a long way. When I washed my disciples' feet, it wasn't because I had to. It was because I wanted to show them that true greatness comes from humility. You're not any less of a king for serving others, Farquaad. In fact, you'd be a better one. The best kings, the best leaders, are those who put their people first, not themselves. And the irony is, when you do that, you end up receiving more respect, more loyalty, and yes, even more love. It's a choice, Farquaad. Power or purpose, domination or service. I think you know which one leads to real fulfillment. You can keep holding on to your tower, your crown, your control, or you can open your hands, serve others, and watch what true greatness looks like.